sometimes, some things will be happening with people and it'll affect you. But sometimes you got to take control of your own life. Like sometimes you got to take control of your own decisions and make it work for yourself if you don't see any other way that there is to make it work. Like you can't let yourself down. Even if somebody else is letting you down, you can't let yourself down. People going to sleep on you no matter what. It's always going to be, oh, you haven't done this, but you haven't done this. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you haven't done this. And you just got to keep proving people wrong. When you're young, you don't realize what life really is until you get older. No matter how much you're going through, you know you're going through a lot. But at the same time, you like, yo, I'm thugging it out. Like I'm getting through this no matter what. You think you're invincible when you're younger, low key.
Thank you so much for joining me. I just literally hopped on this with you off the rip, off the second, just to say thank you, just to start. I usually say, yeah, but for you, Tyler Larson, to be on the podcast is something that's obviously it's been a journey. And to have somebody that I admire, respect, a leader, a coach now, a father, a brother in Christ, Mr. Tyler Larson, welcome to the Mind Believe podcast.
I appreciate you, man. It's an honor and a pleasure.
No, it's cool. Whenever you see people in different spaces, we had our time in Bamberg. Literally, you and Jerry Blakes was on the show, one of my kind of mentors on the team, that American presence, seeing somebody just come from the G League, not knowing how the European game was, to have you and Jerry there early on was definitely beneficial for me. But just people that experience a tough time in a similar tough place. If I was speaking to your story, though, from Bamberg before then, that little kid from Hayward, California, the 510, I like to start my podcast and these conversations with the formative years because they do take on a role in who you become. So if you were to take me back to those times, the 510, who was that kid?
That kid, man, was somebody who definitely could have never imagined basketball being such a huge part of my life. When I was young, like before I say 8th grade, I was bad at basketball, bro. Like I was terrible. My mom used to come to me like, Tyler, when you get in the game, shoot the ball. I used to be crying like, man, I ain't better than other kids. But then around 8th, 9th grade, I started noticing I was a little bit taller than my friends. I was a good rebounder. I was like, okay, I guess basketball thing might work out a little bit. And so 9th and 10th grade. 9th grade, I played JV. 10th grade, I played varsity. I lived all over the Bay Area. So I grew up in Oakland and Hayward, graduated elementary school in Oakland, then moved to Richmond, went to middle school out there, then went to middle school in Vallejo, then moved to Vallejo, and went to middle school, graduated middle school out there. Then my first 2 years of high school, I was in Vallejo. And then I moved to Las Vegas my junior year in high school. And, that was a blessing in disguise. I did not want to do it at first. I did not want to go to Vegas. I was crying, telling my godfather, I did not want to move there. And next thing you know, I was in Vegas. And it was definitely a blessing because I met some brothers, some friends, some mentors that I could have never imagined my life without. You feel me?
Before, take me back before you picked up a ball. I know you said you weren't good in 8th grade, and then you became good when you started becoming taller than everybody else. But before then, if you were to take me back, let's say pre-age 10 of that Tyler, if I woke up in those cities, if I woke up in Hayward, the 510, and I woke up, got in the restroom, took a shower, came out, looked in the mirror, which kid, what image, what Tyler would I see?
I would say you would see and it's funny to say this now as a grown man, like, growing up, especially as black men, it's not okay to be sensitive, or it's not okay to be emotional. It's not okay to be in your feelings or like care about stuff. And so that kid was definitely sensitive and emotional, caring. You feel me? My mom used to always say she wanted me to be a doctor because she felt like I had such a big heart and I was always caring for people when I was a kid. So that's really that was my base. You feel me? A lot of love. Like I always was telling my parents and my siblings, I love you a lot. You feel me? Like I love you all the time. And so I would say growing into that, that's really where like I learned how to love, learn how to care about things, learn that, you feel me? It was okay in some instances to be emotional and be sensitive, and then as you grow up, you have experiences and you learn the hard way.
How did you know that though? Because again, in an environment, Oakland, I'm guessing urban community, in those different communities, you're moving and you're trying to find your base and who to side with, who like when you're in school, who to, have a group and have a function with. How did you know that you could still be that kid at that time? Because you're kind of like, okay, the emotions. In my experience, twin, I'm Nigerian immigrant. So in the house, I'll have that real love, that real connection, finding myself in that environment. Then I go to school and it's a totally different thing. I act out. I try to be, into those type of things. For your situation and for your story, when did you start noticing that that wasn't okay to do?
Really, like, so I got a big brother who's 7 years older than me. So he was trying that, all that was out. Like, even if my mom was babying me a little, and he'd be like, yo, nah, like, you got to grow up, or you got to be a man, or like, he'd start trying to bully me a little bit to like make me stronger or more tougher. And I hated it at the time. But, now that I'm older, I see like where he was coming from and what he was trying to do, what he was trying to accomplish. He was trying to make me into a man. My mom was a single mom. So he was like the manly figure in my life in a way. My dad was still around, but like he was the one I was with every day. You feel me? So he was like, okay, it's on me to teach him how to be a man and teach him how to like get through the real world, and getting through the real world as a man, black man, like all that is not okay.
Right. No, it is tough. And speaking of your situation, whenever you have a brother kind of being that father figure in your life and your experience, it does help you become the person that you are today. But in that time, it's kind of like, you use the word sensitive and you're growing in all that you are, but you're still curious, like, okay, what does this mean? How I'm feeling this way, but he's telling me not to feel this way. I don't know. I just, in that time, because again, for me, it was a tough situation growing up, a twin, a Nigerian immigrant, and I was acting out in school, doing those different things. What do you think if you were behind the eyes of that kid? I'm just thinking about this because you had what you needed in the aspects of, okay, a father figure, that type of person being their big brother. But other than that, what do you think that kid needed to kind of express all that he was during that time?
Looking back, honestly, bro, and this is why my dad and my mom, they've always said like I was God's child, like God had me from when I was young, because I did have some guidance. Like obviously I had parents, but like when I got to around like age 13, 14, 15, like I really started doing my own thing. Like I said, my mom was a single mom, so she's doing different things, trying to make things work, pay the bills, you feel me? So when you're a little son and your mom's out working, like you gonna find a way. I'm doing the
Yeah.
same thing, trying to
Yeah.
school, hang with the kids who doing bad stuff or who doing playing basketball. Like you just trying to find your way in that instance. So I would say God had me, bro, the whole time. When I think about everything that I've been through as a kid, I might think that I might have needed this or I might have needed that, but at the end of the day, all of it plays into who I am right now and how I view
Yeah.
my kids, my relationship with my wife. All of my experiences have been made into now what is my life.
Right. Now, what is your life? I just think of your story, and you said on your sheet, you said describing your childhood, it was wilderness. And when I think of wilderness, it's weird. I think of like desert and deserted and abandoned. And I guess when I'm asking that question of what did you need, I'm thinking of that kid, okay, to abandon, to desert some parts of who he was.
What kid is in the wilderness, basically?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when I read that question and I answered it with one word, wilderness, uh, it was kind of you can't see what's in front of you. You going through the wilderness and you can't see what's in front of you, but you just trusting that God has a plan. You just keep moving forward, and God has a plan. And even at a young age, I felt like I was in that like, I didn't know what my future was going to hold. Yeah, I would like to go to college, but my family didn't have no money to go to college.
Mm.
When I was about like 13, 14-ish, freshman in high school, my mom went to start the Las Vegas Stars, which is a basketball team in Las Vegas. She became the first African American woman to ever
Yeah, I
be
saw that. I
owner,
saw that.
CEO, and GM of a men's basketball team. First African American woman ever. That is an amazing thing. And me and my brother supported her. But when all that was happening, like I said, I have a single mom, so she's like making moves. She's out of the state and different stuff like that. So there was a time there where like I was trying to find a place to lay my head, and
Mm.
so different friends let me stay the night. I used to carry a big black bag with all my clothes and shoes in it. Like it used to be real life wilderness. You feel me? So when I was, I don't remember if it was my freshman or sophomore year, but this is one of the last times where I like slept over a friend's house or didn't have really a roof over my head because my godfather, who was my JV coach, came into my life.
Yeah.
And so I had a homeboy who I didn't have no place to stay. And so he was like, yo, I'm going to ask my dad if you can stay at my house. I was like, all right, bet. So he said, he asked his dad. His dad said no. He's like, yo, I'm not letting you sleep outside. Like, you got to have a place to stay. We went to school together, you feel me? And we hung out all the time around the neighborhood in Vallejo. So he was like, yo, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. He had a bunk bed. Norense, I'm not kidding about this conversation, okay?
Yeah.
This is true fact. So he says, this is what we're going to do, bro. You're not sleeping outside. You can come in my room and you can sleep under my bed towards the wall. So if my dad walks in, he won't see you. And
Huh.
so that's what I did, bro. I slept under his bed. I watched his dad walk in. His dad didn't know I was in there. Like, I didn't have no place to stay. And then after that situation.
Bro, not to cut you off, bro. When I just heard that, I always think of, okay, let's take it back. What if we're in that moment now? How the hell did you go the next day? It's like, okay, my mom's not here. I have to sleep in this kid's house. Yes, he's my friend. That I'm not even supposed to be there. I don't even feel wanted here. But then it's like I feel grateful. But then I feel embarrassed that I'm in this situation.
And then it's like
Bro,
like you said, you got to go to school the next day. You don't know who your friends telling other kids know your story. But the one thing that always helped me know is I could play basketball. That's always my outlet. Like I always had
yeah.
friends because I could play basketball. I always had friends around my neighborhood because we all played basketball together. And so yeah, after that situation, his dad ran me up out his house, and I didn't have nowhere to stay. And my JV coach got wind of that, and he was like, yo, like, you'll never have to sleep outside ever. You'll never, like, you got a place to stay 100% always at my house. And
Did you ever find out or, figure out within yourself why he ran you off? I mean, for me, if I have a kid that doesn't have a place to stay.
no, still to this day, anytime I've shared that conversation with only a number of people. You feel me? So, or that situation I've only shared with a number of people. And every time I share it or think about it, I always think like, if I was in that situation, what would I do? You feel me?
Yeah. Like, bro, what?
But it was also different back in the day. I feel like people are more maybe a little bit more considerate of those kind of things nowadays. He was like an old school dad, so
Yeah,
he
yeah.
wasn't playing. I said he can't stay here. He can't stay here. But thank God for my homeboy who I haven't talked to in years since I lived in California. But he definitely helped me out at that time, and I'll never forget him.
Crazy. And I think during that time, during those ages, I always say in adolescence, from age 8 to 18, we're on a search. And whatever we find in that search sets the foundation of our life, where it's extremely impressionable. You're trying to impress the people in school. You're trying to become this man. You have the values from your family, grind, go. You see your mom going after her goals, striving. So you have that. Your big brother's telling you, okay, this is how you become the man of the family. But then you have your own beliefs on how to become the man of the family and how to get it done and how to deal with everything that you're going through, but also like prepare and become this person with, the evidence that you see. Okay, you're on this search to your identity and searching for the things that, you resonate inside with. I find this basketball. Okay, that means I'm something. I'm worth it. I always had basketball. I can push and pry and fend off with my life and harbor this thing with using this game. I guess in that time though, and I always ask myself this, and I never even got a answer, but I'm going to pose it and throw it back to you. What if you didn't have the game? What did the game give you? I'm getting ahead of myself. What did the game give you? But then it's like, what if you didn't have the game in that time? What do you think that kid would have done to turn it?
I mean, I believe that's why people get in a place of desperation, and that's why I thank God for this, but I've always leaned on my faith, even when I was a young boy. You feel me? Like I always was like, never gonna, what my morals are, I'm not gonna go against those. You feel me? Like I'm not gonna, times might be desperate and things might be going bad. I'm not gonna, go do something drastic to where now I'm paying for it for the rest of my life, or do something illegal when I know that's not right. So, I mean, luckily I was able to stay out of that, and mostly because basketball gives you not only something to do with teammates, but also like an outlet, like a place to go. So have something to do. So you're not doing the alternative, So without basketball, man, who knows? I've had, unfortunately, a bunch of homeboys who played basketball and didn't continue and got into something different and lost their life. So, like, it's a blessing. To have basketball in my life is a blessing for sure.
It's a blessing. And, at age 16. Yeah, no, it is. It is. And again, like I was the kid, a twin. And then I went to the school. I was in gang culture, that type of culture. Then I finally grew. I finally lost some weight, picked up the ball, and then I ran with it. But going back to your story, in those times, even in me, I picked up a basketball later. For you at age 16, you move 9 hours away. You go down I-5 to Las Vegas. I guess when I think about the cost one makes and one pays when they're moving, I think so much. And through your story, it's already like you're paying the price of becoming, who you are anyways. You want to grind for this basketball. You want to live life and see the next day. You have to do the things that you did. In that move at that time, you already alluded to it being tough for you. What's the price that you paid for that?
I would say that move, man, it had so many pros and cons. Like, like when my mom first was like, "Yo, I have this team in Vegas. Basketball is big in Vegas. I would love for you to move with me. You feel me? I want to bring you out here. I know you have your situation in California that you built and you've been doing really well." Because, like I said, after my godfather took me in, like things got really way more stable than I can remember. So when he took me in, he really like, "Yo, you got to eat, sleep, and drink this. Like, if you really want to do this basketball stuff, you got to eat, sleep, and drink it. You got to get up in the morning, run, shoot, go to school, after school, get your homework done, get in the gym, late at night, get your push-ups, sit-ups in." Like, he really broke it down, work ethic. If you want to make it doing this with this basketball, this is what you got to do. And so I really just took that with me to Vegas. Like, he told me, like, "Yo, you got to go to Vegas, be with your mom." I didn't want to, but I respected it. Left all my friends behind, moved to Las Vegas, and went to Desert Pines High School, whole new school, whole new AAU team, But it was kind of like I was transitioned into a basketball setting because before I went there, my mom had brought some people out to look at me that were going to be coaching me and stuff like that. So it was kind of like I was brought into a basketball setting, which was good. I enjoyed that. But Vegas brought its challenges as well. Some different things like with our living arrangement. My mom being in different situations caused me to end up like having to look out for myself in a way. Because when I was 16, when I moved there, she was going through some stuff and she wasn't really, I was going to school, but, sometimes I wasn't going to school because she couldn't get me there. And I would have to take the city bus from one side of Las Vegas to the other because I went to a magnet school, and a magnet school, you can live wherever. So I was taking the city bus from one side of the city to a whole nother to go to Desert Pines. And, sometimes wake up for the bus, sometimes we won't. Sometimes my mom will wake me up from school. So that type of situation had caused me to fall like in my grades. And so I had a talk with my head coach at the time, Chancellor Davis, played at UNLV. Shout out CeeLo. My junior year, he came to me. He said, "Yo, like, your grades are dropping. You've been missing a couple practices. Like sometimes I know like situations aren't perfect." And he said this, and it stuck with me. And I've told my daughter this. This really stuck with me when he told me this. He said, "Sometimes, some things will be happening with people and it'll affect you. But sometimes you got to take control of your own life. Like sometimes you got to take control of your own decisions and make it work for yourself if you don't see any other way that there is to make it work. Like you can't let yourself down. Even if somebody else is letting you down, you can't let yourself down."
Tyler, not to cut you off, bro, you've been doing that all your life, though, bro. You've been doing that yourself all your life, though, literally. Like, that's the reason why you didn't want to go to Las Vegas. You finally had some stability. You've been proven through this game, like, okay, I can do that. But now you're hearing it again. I'm just like, bro, if I was behind him and I'm far away from school and why am I even going to this school? Like, what is the charge, the drive that's even waking me up each day to be like, bro, I'm going today. I'm going today. I'm going today.
And you at a new school, you a whole bunch of new friends, everything like
exactly.
that. So by this time, when my coach had told me that, I had made some friends though. Like I got really close with Pierre Jackson. He was my teammate. Went to Baylor. I had some other guys who played college who went there, but he's like the main one that everybody knows. He's the only one that's gotten drafted. Juju Jacobs also got drafted. I'm pretty sure he got drafted out of USC. I know he played in the league a little bit, but I know he went to USC out of Desert Pines. But yeah, so by that time, like I had made my friends and everything. And so I had met a guy named London. And he was just one of my school friends. And after my coach had told me that, I had been in kind of a similar situation before when I was in Cali, where it was like, you like kind of got to figure out where to stay. So like things will work out and you can have some sort of foundation instead of things being the wilderness, which is why I said the wilderness. So I met this dude named London, and, we were just kicking it after school. And he was like, "Hey man, like, I don't see you at school like that. Like, you come sometimes, you don't come sometimes. Like, what's up?" And I just told him my situation. I laid it on the floor. I said, "Man, like, this is my situation at home. It's not really good right now. It's been taking me like away from school and stuff like that. I really like need to figure out a situation." I'm 16 making these type of decisions, like
yes.
16 grown man. Like, where am I going to stay? What am I going to eat? Like, and so luckily his mom that day, he went to his mom. He said, "Man, I'm going to see if you can stay with us." So when my boy said, "I'm going to see if you can stay with us," next day, I started living with London, bro. He lived right across the street from my school.
What?
That's crazy. Next day, I started living with him, bro. And after that, once again, there was some sort of foundation there. So, I started doing really well, started doing good in school. My mom was like, "Okay, I understand." She was still coming to my games and everything. But like Coach Davis said, you got to make some decisions for yourself, being a man in this world. You feel me? And so I did that.
Did that kid, not to
me.
cut you off, did that kid ever, because for me, I was without my father from 8 to 18. And because he got his visa denied, he was in Nigeria trying to come back over. And I didn't get it. And Nigerian parents, they're gatekeeping. They hold secret, because I probably would have blabbed to my friends. Probably true. I probably would have been Tyler. Honestly, I would probably have told them my situation, which obviously it has me in myself, because it's like, should I express? Should I not? But for you, when I'm thinking of your story, did you hold any, ill will towards your mom? Because, like, she had no control of her situation, obviously. But then it's like that kid how did he go from, okay, I always have to live with somebody else. I always have to, okay, do this on my own. I'm 16. I want to be a kid. I look at a new city now. I was in this city. They had their family, they had their friends, they had people pushing them up like a kid should. I'm in another opportunity and they have that. I still don't have that. Did you ever feel that towards your mom?
Honestly, like as a kid, of course, as a kid, you think the world revolves around you, and
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah.
like how could this be happening to me? Why me? Type of mentality, and like I said, I regret nothing that the past has taught me. Like I regret none of these experiences because I met some really really close people still to this day, like in that process, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. I wouldn't trade that for the world. But yeah, my boy, my boy, when my boy London took me in, like that was one of the mile or like key pieces to directing me like the way I was gonna go, because now I was hooping every day now. You feel me? I had friends that I can be around and it influenced me. I start to like know how to move, know where to go, and I was in a new city. So it was like in a way, I mean, I know this is cliche to say, but like everything happens for a reason.
No, I always say that I hate that phrase. I'm not gonna lie because it's like if you do a dumbass decision and you have the consequence, you're still gonna learn your life. If you're a child of God, you're gonna get that lesson in a different way. You don't have to learn through trouble and trial. But I totally get what you're saying because that does teach you and help you become this man, this leader, this father, this coach that you are today because you literally have been through everything. And then you could speak to a kid who has those similar situations. And you could speak to a kid like me coming up to another country in the wilderness that I was, and you can know how that feels and help them out in those moments. So definitely like can see that in your story. There's something that you always say, and I still remember it then. They sleep. They sleep. They sleep. He had it everywhere. They sleep. They sleep. Little Tide Pod, the one that listened to all the music going. If I'm going to school, if I'm listening and I'm behind the eyes of Tyler in that age, Little Tide Pod, I love music and I'm listening to music that kind of pushed me forward. They sleep on me. They sleep on me. They sleep on me. When I hear that, I think, the edge that drives to help you on the court, those type of things. But I feel like they sleep for you means so much more than just a game of basketball.
Man, when I think of they sleep, and maybe when I was younger, it was more of a basketball. Oh, they sleep on me. I'm a make it type. Even though I might tell myself that in the time, but I had no clue that I would be able. I didn't have no offers out of college. I mean, out of high school, I didn't have no offers, none. I mean, I went junior college, but I'm talking about Division I offers, even D2 offers. Like I wasn't getting none of those, so I didn't think that playing professional basketball, let alone like playing at the Euro Cup level, playing like at a high level like that, was even attainable. But at the time, it was like they sleep on me, I'm gonna make it. But now, as a grown man, when I think of they sleep, and I think of the whole movement that me and my friends started back in the day, they sleep is more of a, you know, people gonna sleep on you no matter what. It's always gonna be, oh, you haven't done this, but you haven't done this. Oh, you can't do this. Oh, you haven't done this, and you just got to keep proving people wrong your whole life. So now they sleep is more of a mentality in everything you do. Like don't be surprised if somebody doubts you. Don't be surprised if somebody doesn't have high expectations for you. You just gotta know that they sleep on you and worry about yourself.
It sounds though, when you say they sleep in that time, you already had the internal drive to push you forward. So you didn't care if anybody slept on you. You've lived a man's life to that point. So they sleep helps you, build community, build in the game, helps you that way. But like they don't know there's a real story here that's driving me that helps me search myself every day. Like, okay, should I grind? Should I go the extra mile? Should I push today? That leads you to a JUCO, that leads you to a South Dakota. That kid then defying the odds and growing and moving on to these different levels. You said something just now, and I totally agree. At those moments, you always people always say, I always knew I was going to be this. I always knew I was going to be to this point. Shut up. I always say that. No, there's no way. There's no way you thought the kid that was in this city, living, going through the wilderness could become who you are, changing from this, going to this country, living in all these different places, playing professional at that level. You never knew that. So I'm like, shut up. But it's like, what helps you in college kind of keep going forward and going forward? I feel like I'm asking redundant questions. I am like this because I'm just really thinking about this right now. It's like believing in something that you can't see, but knowing like, what's the alternative? I got to keep going. I got to keep because I remember that kid.
And that's the main thing is like you just got to keep moving forward. Like what can you do? You can't stop because if you stop, it's over. You gave up. And that was one of my things. I have it tattooed on my chest. It says never give. And that doesn't mean like never give anybody anything because I love being selfish, you feel me, and a servant to people. It means never give up. Simple as that. Like no matter how hard anything gets, no matter, how bad your back is against the wall, keep moving forward, never give up. And, like going through college, like obviously when you go to college and you can attest to this, like it has its pros and its cons also. Like you think, oh, I'm going D1 and or I'm going to junior college. I'm be on full ride. Like I'm gonna be this big basketball star, but you don't understand. Like, 6 a.m. workouts, coaches on your neck. You got to be dedicated to this. Like my godfather says, you got to eat, sleep, and drink this if you want to make it. So you really don't realize that. And that's why I think it was a blessing to go through those things early in my life. Obviously, I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. And I don't wish nobody to go through what I went through. But those experiences, along with the ones I had in Vegas, just gave me that will. Like you can't stop. Like you can't stop. Like there's already too much that done happened to make it to where like you can't stop now. You just got to keep moving forward.
Got to keep moving forward. I guess I have so many questions that just pop into my head. Because I always picture if I'm you and I'm in college and I'm going after this game. You said something like that prepared you. You already went through the wilderness, so you know how it goes. College workouts, you know that it's a different level. But in terms of your personal life, it feels like for me, I'm so used to not having people at the game. My mom works. She has 4 kids. She's a nurse, that type of thing. So I'm so used to grinding and going. I know how to do that. But the first time somebody believed in me off the court sounds weird, like a girlfriend, that type of thing. It's like weird. It's like, I'm so grind this mode. I can't shut that off. When it comes to you and like romantic relationships, how were you in that time? Like, how have you grown from that Tyler then to who you are now as a man?
Like you mean like as far as like support wise or like girlfriend?
Yeah, just girlfriend wise, like because I feel like that's different, and those are literally 2 different stages, 2 different Tylers, 2 different versions. You mentioned the sensitive kid, but then the sensitive kid has to push the sensitivity aside to push, grind, and become what he wants to do, become all that who he is. Okay, let's turn it back on in a different way. How were you initially in those relationships? Because a lot of athletes can't turn that off, and they have that mentality in their relationships, and they have that mentality off the court, and it doesn't work anywhere else but on the court. What was that transition like for you?
Right. So as far as like females, like my mom was in some like abusive relationships, and she's been divorced. Like I've seen her go through a lot, and I've seen people treat her bad. I've seen men take advantage of her. I've seen them physically abuse her. So like whenever it came to females as I was growing up, I always like had a big heart for like if I really cared for a girl. Even when I was in 8th grade, I thought my girlfriend was everything, So like growing up, then learning like, okay, you have your life and your experiences and you can't share that with everybody and you can't even be yourself almost around everybody. So as I got older, you just figured out like, okay, who can vibe with me like that? Who can be on that level with me like that? Who understands where I came from? And I never found definitely my whole college career and then moving on to professional, I met my wife when I was going to Belgium. And we met in Vegas at like 4 a.m. Met her. Hey, what's your name? Ashley. Hey, let me get your number before I never see you again because this is Las Vegas. And
yeah.
and after that, it was over. Like we was locked in after that. But it took a while to get to that because I was like, focus. As men, I feel like a lot of men do this. Is you're so focused on your craft. You want to master your craft so bad that you don't even see how another person can incorporate into that unless they're trying to do everything your way, and that's not how a relationship works or marriage.
Yeah.
Like you
Yeah.
have to compromise. So I feel like I was in that stage until I met her. Like, I'm just locked in on my craft. I'm locked in on, what I got to do to make it,
What did she have though, Tyler? Because it's like you meet her 4 a.m. in Las Vegas and you go on, you move on, you're in this career, a 7-year pro in the different countries that you played in. For her to follow you and be there for you and support you and help you go. Because as an athlete, you're out of this place, out of where you are, out of the US for 10 months out of the year, trying to learn the language, trying to be in the culture, learning in this new team. This coach doesn't even speak English. The wilderness, something that you're accustomed to, but it's a different kind.
Right.
What did she have that you needed to hold on to, cling on to all these years? Because it's tough because, again, if I was that kid overseas and it's like locked in, I'm here for a mission. When Ashley comes into your life, how did she add to your mission?
See, like at that time, my mission was different, like I kind of, upon meeting her and like us talking and stuff like that, like I always had a vision like, okay, one day I want a family. Like my dad's been married for 25 years. So it's like I've seen a successful marriage. I've seen my mom go through some bad marriages. I want children and I want a kid with a woman who I'm married to. I want to be with for the rest of my life so my kid can grow up in the same house. So that was my vision. But I just didn't see it coming into fruition. I met her, and really, it was so she had been cheated on. I had been cheated on around, like I had been cheated on before. And then when I met her, she had been cheated on. So that like relatability and like understanding that, okay, I can trust you and you can trust me and we can be thousands of miles away from each other, but we're still loyal to each other and we still on a mission now together. And we only want me and you, and it's me and you to the end of this. Then when we started getting like that, and when I understood that that was the thing. You asked what the thing was. It was the loyalty factor that I could just feel like in her spirit that she's like, yo, I got you to the end of the earth. And that was when we first met. I felt that, and you feel me. She's been nothing but an angel since.
Nothing but an angel. I never have asked a guest that on this because I don't know, but now I'm learning in this to ask the questions I'm really curious about. And because me and there's certain people listening, and I don't even care who's listening, but for me in my life, it's so hard to distinguish who's there for you and cares and sees that kid that was in the wilderness from young, from this place to this place and can see him and to love him despite of what he even sees a different version of you that you even see in yourself to be there for you. So it's like, it's hard to find that. And for
Right.
you to just say that it's out there, it does something for me and it does something for anybody listening to know that, okay, it's okay. You could still grow and grind after what you want. But one day it's okay to open your eyes, open your damn walk, whatever you're doing to find somebody else, to open up to conversation, to relations with somebody else. Because a lot of times you get so, nope, focus. She's just going to knock on my door and she's going to say, hey, I'm here. No, it's being vulnerable, being open to somebody else, sharing, having the courage to open up to somebody else to grow that relationship.
No doubt, bro. No doubt. It's like you gotta, and I will say it was like a conscious decision within myself. Like I was ready. And that's what I tell people who be like, oh man, how you get married? Like, you know how it is as a hooper, like people like, how'd you get married? How'd you do this? How'd you do that? Like they just don't see like how you could possibly do that. And I'm like, yo, you got to make a conscious decision within yourself. Like I'm ready. You got to be ready because marriage is not like,
it's unpredictable. It's like that. She pulled up.
Like, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be comfortable. It's not going to be any of these things that maybe movies tell us or we think in some fairy tale land. Like, it's really, a grind and an everyday marathon, not a sprint. So, that you gotta be ready within yourself.
You got to be ready within yourself. Going back to basketball, your first year overseas, Latvia, then Lithuania, then Belgium, then Russia, then Italy, then Russia, then Germany, then France, then Germany, then Germany, then Italy, then Italy. Literally 7-year pro. You played with 12 different teams. And I think you only stayed on one team throughout the whole time. Dealing with that wilderness is something that you're accustomed to, who you can be and who you can manage to be and become in all those different teams. I guess for me, when I hear that and I listen to that, I'm like, bro, I'm not doing that. And the game is not enough for me to do that. For you, what was the thing that kept you going despite all the challenges with being so many teams, so many countries in the span of your career? I want to ask basketball questions, but honestly not, because this is the trying things. There's so many athletes. You're in a different country and it's so tough. You can't even articulate how tough it is until you're getting over there. Why did you keep going? Why not come back to stability, something that you've wanted? You have the girl, you have everything now. Why didn't you just come back a long time ago?
Hey, it's funny. Like you said, like, oh, I want to ask about basketball, but I want to ask about life. But it's all so tied in. Such an intimate relationship between basketball and life. So definitely. Okay, so I'm gonna gradually build you up into my rookie. And this is what really gave me that grind of like, okay, by any means necessary, I'm getting to it. Shout out my agent also, Teddy Archer. He had my back through everything. So, I mean, it's definitely not just me that did all that. You feel me? Like, as far as when I became a pro, he helped me tremendously. So my friend London, who I told you I moved in with my junior year of high school, he went to school. It was his senior year as my junior year. Then he graduated, and then it was my senior year, and I was still living with him. Then, unfortunately, he ended up committing suicide in our bathroom. And so when he did that like, it was like another, like, I don't know, scar maybe on my back, like, just something else that was like, wow. Like, and when you're young, you don't realize everything. When you get older, you start to slow down and process everything. Like, wow, you really went through that as a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, you feel me? And so after he passed away, like, obviously there was some whirlwind there. But I played well my senior year, and then ended up going to junior college. And so I came off the bench, junior college. I had never played point guard before. And I was backup point guard freshman year in junior college. And I got in. I did well. I've always been able to handle the ball, always been a really good rebounder. And so that was another thing. I was coming off the bench my freshman year. Had people at my junior college that transferred from University of Kentucky, University of Miami, West Virginia, Fairleigh Dickinson, Idaho. Like, it was all D1 transfers, and I wasn't recruited at all. So when I got there, it was really just like, hey, work ethic, and that's always been my strength, is my work ethic. And so that's what I leaned on, and I got in the gym and did my thing there, control what I can control, and was able to get an offer from South Dakota. My first year, South Dakota, I tore my ACL. After playing really well in the summer, I played. So me and my boy Javal Miles, he went to Kansas State, transferred to South Dakota, and we was ready to go to work. We were ready to go to work. And then my first year, right when we started getting into the season, like right before first game, I tore my ACL. So I was out that whole year. So I redshirted. After that year, the coach gets fired. The coach who brought me in, the assistant coach, he went to another school. So now I was with like a lot of unfamiliar, even though like the guy who got the job was the assistant coach the year that I got there, like me and him had an okay relationship, but he wasn't the one who brought me there, and he wasn't the head coach at the time. So then he got
Right.
the head coaching job. I'm coming back with ACL injury. At the time, I thought he was trying to do me wrong, and whatever kids think
Yeah,
coach is trying to do
exactly.
to him. But uh, now that I'm older, I realize, it's tough. This kid's coming back from an ACL injury. Like he's playing basketball with a brace on. Some games he's on, some games he's hurting. He's inconsistent. Like you can't really depend on him. So totally understand why my first year coming back from injury went the way it did. Then we got a new coach in the next year, Craig Smith, which is my senior year. And, that year, he really just he didn't give me the keys like, hey, Norense, here you go. It's your team. But
Right.
he kind of put so much responsibility, and I put so much responsibility on myself because I was like, it's my senior year. Like, I got to go out with a bang. And he kind of, led right into that. Like, all right, if you're going to take that accountability, I'm going to be on you every day. And, you can't let us slack at all. And we might be having a bad practice, but you better be getting us right. And you better be making sure everybody's getting back on the same page and, working well together. So I had him my senior year, and I played very well. I led the league in rebounding. I was the shortest person to ever do it. First person at my college to get first team all league. And then, so after all I just told you leading up to my senior year of college, that flies right into why it was like, no matter what I was going through overseas, I was, right to the next thing, and I was going to adjust quickly and get right to it.
Bro, you know, I've sat on here with a lot of people that face adversity. And it's not to compare struggle bus, struggle fight, but bro, honestly, I'm sitting here racking my brain. I don't think I've ever heard a story like this to date. Where you face so much adversity, injuries, your family stuff, a friend that who you confided in, who you live with, unfortunately lost his life. You're going through all those things, and then you're still able to become who you are and today. Honestly, bro, I swear I'm not just saying this. I don't just talk like that blows my mind. And it's like if I was the kid after that happened to my friend and I come back to that house and I close my eyes at night, knowing everything I've been through, he believed in me, his family did. And then that happens. What does that feel like? Because we see the things and who you've become and all the things that you're still able to do despite everything going against you. But what does that feel like having to still always go against something? Yeah, you're used to it, but did you like it? Do I like going through this every single day?
Man, you know, like I know I keep saying this, but it's really true. And like when I'm talking to Ashley or I'm talking to anybody, even younger kids, guys I've coached this year, like when you're young, you don't realize what life really is until you get older. No matter how much you're going through, you're going through a lot, but at the same time, you like, yo, I'm thugging it out. Like I'm getting through this no matter what. You think you're invincible when you're younger, low key. So I would say like that was really kind of the feeling that I had as a young dude before I went to college for sure. Like when I went to when my homeboy passed away, like I didn't, and like I told you, I've always been like a real sensitive, caring
Mm-hmm.
kid when I was younger. Uh, when my homeboy passed away, bro, like the initial when they first told me, and I walked in his house, and our whole I call him family, like he's like my brother, so that's like my family. So when I got in there, like we all consoled each other, and I cried, and after that, I did not cry again until his funeral day, and it was so. This is a mutual friend of me and Pierre, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, obviously they're letting people in and they're like being like part of the funeral because like he was like my brother. So I'm holding the door for people and I was about to hold the door for Pierre. He was the last person walking in. And like I just dropped the door and I broke down and he grabbed me and he was hugging me. He was like, bro, like it's all right. You feel me? And we both started crying. And so after that, like I say, like little things like that, experiences like that, not little things like that, experiences like that are what pushed me in my mind. This is just how I think. Like pushed me to, always try to you know, grind no matter what, never give. Like, never give up no matter how hard it gets. Never give up. Find a way, adjust. It's always been a strength of mine, and it's a blessing. Maybe it's because of what I went through as a kid, but I've always been to adjust really well to my surroundings and to people around me, you know, teams, situations, families I was living with. I was always able to adjust and, act accordingly. And that's why my mom and my dad always said I was God's child, bro, because they didn't really put me on that path to be like that. Like, I could have been something totally off to the left, you feel me? But by the grace of God.
Man, bro, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's tough to relive those moments but that actually and helped me because a lot of those times, you know, you said you cried at first, you suppress after that. Okay, we got this after, you know, I gotta suppress those feelings to push forward for myself and who I want to be. And I can't be anything else to accomplish the things that I want to. And a lot of people, high achievers, they want to go and strive. They got to suppress the feelings that I have, push them down to go and just survive today. I definitely resonate and I see that in your story, but doing that, it gets you tired. You become tired. You become overwhelmed because it's like suppress, suppress, suppress. It's only like when you're suppressing, they always say this, you have a choice and opportunity whether you're going to suppress this voice and surrender to that voice. And it's like the struggle in between suppress and surrender. And you were struggling in between. And a lot of people go the opposite route of surrendering because of the pressure on them. Kind of that struggle pushing you forward in your career, knowing that there's more to this life than just the game. Basketball, it equates to life, but it's not life due to what
Right.
you've been through, kind of pushing forward and moving. Do you ever wonder what Tyler would have become if he had this grand, sweet life before? Like, if I never faced adversity, if I never went through all these things, what would you have become? Because again, I do think of this sometimes because I'm a believer, child of God. It's like, God, why did you pick me to go through these things when I was a kid? Why did you pick me to be without my father? Why did you pick me to be in Germany to where I'm like suicidal because I've been suppressing my emotions all this time? And before then, I only picked up the game because I saw myself significant because I picked up the game. Before then, I was this child that was sexually abused by older women in my life. So I felt insignificant. So the game was the thing that I had. And now the thing that I have, I can't play. And then I lost family members because they came to watch me play the thing that I had. And I just was pushing and pushing and pushing because of this game. And when I couldn't play, it wasn't there anymore. If I asked, and I always think of this, what if I didn't have that experience? Would I come to this conclusion? If you didn't have the bouncing from this place to this place to this place, I probably asked this, but I'm asking it again. I don't care. Do you ever think about that? And like, I know it's who you've become and everything works together, but it's just so amazing what you just said in the story that I'm like, to be at this place, because it's never, you know, what you go through. It's always how you look at what you go through and how you're able to move forward. There's a lot of people that go through similar situations that aren't here, Tyler. They're not this person, this pro converted to, he's now a father, converted, obviously a husband, converted, obviously a coach now. There's a lot of people that will never be that. Like, that trait is, I wish we could clone that trait and put it into everybody, but it's just like, I don't want to like beat down this point, but I do think it's so admirable who you've become after everything. Like, you never know what somebody goes through until you have a conversation. And for you to share all that is huge. I do want to go to this space though of 7-year career turn coach. Can you walk me through those conversations in your head? The first time where coach even came in your head, because you're still hooping. You don't even have the energy to think about being a coach. Walk me to those times.
So basically, my senior year when Craig Smith got there, we had a great year. You know, we built a great relationship. I still talk to those assistants who I had there who are now assistants or head coaches other places. I still talk to him. And, you know, they kind of told me like, yo, like, you have a gift as far as like leading people and communicating with people, getting across to people, being able to explain something so that somebody else can apply it, being able to listen to somebody and apply what they're telling you. You got a gift. And so that they told me, oh, you know, you should be a coach. You should be a coach whenever you're done playing, you know. yeah, I think that would be something smart for you to get into. And so I said, I'll never be a coach. I'll never be a coach. Like I'm gonna play
Yeah.
basketball for years, and it's over after that. I'm not working another day in my life. But you know, life happens. When I went to Bamberg, which is where we played together, I think that was year 5. That was year 6 for me. And having that knee surgery that year, that kind of, and then having to come back mid-season, that kind of, you know, basically, I don't know if the word, like you said, like if you had went from team to team to team to team to team to team, you'd be mentally and physically drained. So,
Yes.
you know, all the stuff that we were going through in Bamberg, like
Yeah.
with our coach and, you know, with management, whatever. And so that situation on top of the mental and physical drain of having to have another knee surgery, having to be asked to play through injury, having to, you know, having to play through injury, then when you don't play good, be chastised and stuff like that, you know. So dealing with, I would say, on top of the COVID year, you know, COVID happening, like that all took a toll mentally, being away from my family, you know, realizing that there's like, and, you know, COVID humbled a lot of people, like a lot of people passed away. So it gets you thinking like, yo, I'm sacrificing all this time away from my family. You know, my family is really important to me. So what's more important now? You know, I'm being treated like this, like a piece of property, and my family over here is just waiting for me to come home, missing me. You know, I'm away from my daughter and stuff like that. So I'd say that. And then going into the next year, you know, I was just like having to come back mid-season. I really didn't get the proper, I would say, like rehabilitation time after that knee surgery and after being in a boot for my Achilles. You remember that?
Yeah. 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 I remember the practices
So
that I remember you were in that we had the practice court, you were in the weight room and you'd always do your workouts and going through that and seeing us and seeing the different situations and still having the coach, okay, oh, he can't play. Let's try to almost force him out of here and
right.
bring other.
Yeah. I had, you know, during that time, you know, I had my coach at the time say some crazy things to me. So it was just like that all weighed in on like, okay, you know, what could I get into outside of basketball? So I started looking at some different like investment opportunities, blah, blah, blah. And so my year in Italy, I was talking to Teddy and he was like, I was just like, man, like, you know, my body's feeling a little banged up. It was probably more mentally than physically because I feel
Right.
great now, but I'm like mentally, you know, I was just drained. I was like, man, I think I'm ready to go into something else. And he's like, what do you think about coaching? And I was like, coaching, like, you know, I always said I would never be a coach. And he's like, yeah, but you got so many good qualities to go into a coach. You know, I'm connected, you're connected. Like, you know, a whole bunch of kids. If you want to get in the college realm, you know, a whole bunch of AAU coaches, high school coaches all over the West Coast, South, East. Like, you know people everywhere. And then you know some coaches at the pro level. I know people at the pro level. So, like, if you really want to do this, like, let's do it. So this was early in Italy. And I was like, yo, I just want to focus on hoop. After the season, we'll talk about it. So the whole year focused on hoop. Had a good year. I was in Pesaro. I was playing well. And then I went to Reggio in January, played FIBA Euro Cup. We went to the FIBA Euro Cup championships. And then we went to the playoffs in Italy, playing against Milan first round. And so, yeah, after we went to the championship, like that was almost like another clarification or declaration of like, okay, Tyler, like you could take a deep breath. You made it to a championship. Like you in here in a sold out arena in Istanbul, Turkey. Like from what you came from, you never thought you would ever be somewhere like this. And you've had a long career. You've been able to, you know, provide for your family. I'm the first person in my family to ever own a house. So, like, you own a house, like, you own a car, like, you know, these things that I didn't see that were attainable when I was a kid. I thought there was no way, like, how could that be me to, like, okay, Tyler, like, you did it. And then, so this summer when the Santa Cruz Warriors position came open and they interviewed me, and we had some really good conversations. And they offered it to me. It was me and my wife going back and forth. And she was like, really, you just got to pray about it. Like, you got to pray about it. You know, I can't tell you what to do because you've been playing basketball since you were 4 years old. Like, you know, you got to decide if you're ready to be done. And so I prayed about it. I felt like, you know, I was being led towards this opportunity. And I'm so happy now that I've finished my first season that I did it, because it was like way more rewarding than I thought it was going to be. It was a great learning experience. It was a great teaching experience. Like, I learned some things about myself that I didn't know. I've seen things in some of my players that I noticed that I used to do, or I could see myself in them when I was younger. So I knew how to, you know, explain to them or relate to them in that way. And so, bro, it was a blessing, man. It was a blessing. And now I'm Coach Larson.
What did you learn about yourself? Because again, you know, to this point, you already know you face a lot in your journey. And from listening, I've learned about your journey, and I know, okay, he's going to overcome anything he faces, any trial, any hurdle.
And we were teammates. It's crazy how you like be in the same room, same group with somebody and not really know what they're
Bro, Tyler, that's the thing that I'm thinking about the whole time. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding? Because it's like, then again, it's like in life, it's a good lesson for life. It's like you see your situation totally, you know, I'm going through this. I'm grinding. I'm struggling. You got a brother right there going through similar things, struggling and going through those same battles. So it's like this conversation and these conversations is essential. And in that time, it's like something needed to like push you forward and move. That's literally what I've been thinking about. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So it's like you learn from that time, like, okay, I shouldn't be treated like this. I'm going to become something more, like start looking outside the game. And then you reach this stage, you're at the pinnacle, you won a championship. For me, I'm like, bro, this is just the start. I'm hungry for more. Now my thought, the adversity is done. I've grinded all this time. Now it's like time to build off of that for you to see, okay, nah, like I'm in a stage to give back. You know, my passion has brought me this far. Now it's time to turn that passion into contribution and to pour into other people's lives, to become a coach and to grow in that area. What have you learned about yourself?
I would say that's one of the biggest things right there, is just like pouring into other people, and also being able to. So when you're a player, like, and you got teammates, and when we were teammates, you were younger than me, like, but it's still, we never had this conversation before.
Exactly.
When you're a player, like, you know, you have that relationship with your teammate, but it never. Sometimes it goes past surface level, but rarely do you get a deep dive into somebody's life and you're able to really give them advice and talk to them about life, about what really matters in the hoop world and also in life, being a man. And so that was one of the biggest things that I feel like I was able to learn about myself and also give back, like that, you know, what I've been through, I can hand it down. Like, I can really hand it down to these younger guys and let them see, like, yo, I might think I got it bad, or I might think because the coach isn't giving me the playing time I want, or whatever the case may be, like, nah, like, everything is okay. Just control what you can control, and all the rest of it will take care of itself.
Okay, I have this question, not to cut you off. How do you go and you're grinding, you become all that you are, you made yourself like a self-made player, that is what we'd say in, you know, your career, your life. How do you teach a kid that? Because in this age, a lot of people say, oh, they're soft, but it's a different age, it's a different era. It's, you know, your environment plays a part. Everything plays a part into who you become. So how are you able to teach? I'm just like, well, you better just have it. I don't know, figure it out. Like, you got to do this. How are you able to learn that communication and like be gentle with this kid, be sensitive, but still like, nah, you need to be like, how do you voice that and get that out of a kid? What's your journey with that?
So I don't know if you know this, but I majored in communications in college. Did I ever tell you that?
Nah.
Okay, so since I majored in communications, like, I feel like that's helped me a lot. Like, I didn't used to be able to communicate like that or listen like that, or I didn't know what effective communication was. I just knew what communication.
Yeah. You'd be like, boy, do this. Yeah.
You feel me? There's a difference. There's a difference between talking to somebody and then talking to somebody a way that they will get it. So really, I feel like that helped me throughout my career and throughout the relationships I've made as a player, and then now being a coach, able to like relay information and explain information and break down basketball and life to a point where it can be explained to somebody who's not even in the conversation. You feel me? So I think that navigating that, and then also knowing that just how I told you something about myself, uh, these kids and professional players and everybody, they have their own story and stuff they're going through as well. So like just understanding that and realizing that, and maybe when I go to, I don't know, Dusty, who was on our team, maybe if I go to Dusty this day and he's not really talkative, and as a coach, I'm like, oh, he ain't locked in today. Well, that's the wrong way to think about it, because this man could be going through something totally different at home. And as a coach, instead of me breaking him down more, this being me, I would come in there and, you feel me, just give him some words of encouragement. And then maybe the next day, hey, you straight? You need somebody to talk to? I'm here for you. Let's get it. I believe in you. You feel me? I have nothing but the best for you. So that's really the main thing, is just that, like being genuine and having good intentions for people, having the best interest in heart for people.
Bro, I mean this when I say this, bro. That's it. And I see a potential seed in you that's going to be greater than you even see. When it comes to your career as a player, you were able to push the faith, pushed you farther. Yeah, you probably had fear and not known, fear of the unknown, but you didn't let that fear hold you like a stumbling block. You use the fear to push you, and the faith to push you to where you become. Same with your coaching, because what you just said there's a lot of coaches that don't get that. They have the pressure from the higher ups and then just spitting it out, and they're trying to read off a paper how to lead and you have a unique situation where you know what it feels like to be a player, and you know what it feels like to wake up and go through the real things in life and also be a player and also produce, so you can communicate in that level. Bro, I know, and I truly believe this when I say this. You're going to be a gem. You're already a gem in this coaching reign, and you already have that passion and that thing to push you forward. But no, seriously, because what you just said, I talked to a lot of coaches, and, I've been around, I guess, and they don't get that. They don't get that. And for you to get that and already have the X's and O's and smarts, and you're growing in that, man, it just means so much. When it comes to communicating, you're also a father, and this point of your life, learning and navigating this new life. A coach, you came from overseas, you're settled, a house, a wife, kids. My thought is, and for you this whole time, I'm like, are you surprised? Are you surprised that you're doing this? Are you, what have you learned in this day? Are you surprising yourself in the process of becoming a father today? And kind of what are kind of the lessons? What are some of the lessons that you've learned from yourself and from your daughter in today?
Man, like the main key piece that I've learned, and this is what I was kind of taught when I was younger, is like, I just want my kids to have better than I had. You feel me? And however I can make that happen, I just want, and also along with being the best father I could possibly be. I feel like that's every dad's dream, most likely. But just like learning that, like, yo, you got to do. Also, there's now a new responsibility with you. Every decision that you make now affects this child, and this child can't feed herself. She can't do things for herself. So you have to make decisions and know what you're doing. They're always watching you, different things like that. So being a father has been something that has been, an amazing, but also a learning experience. And I have a stepdaughter who's also 13, and I've been in her life since she was 8 years old. So I've seen her grow from 8 to 13, and that was a crazy process. So now I'm getting to see my own flesh and blood, like, go from 0 to 8. So it's definitely
beautiful, bro.
Right. It's really been a blessing. And like I've said previously, bro, I just believe that, my steps are ordered. Like my path is ordered, and I really trust that. And that helps me, like, not have anxiety, not have worry, not have fear, like you said. And it was harder to actually tap into overseas because you're by yourself, you're going through all the things on the basketball court. Then you go home, you're lonely, you're by yourself. Like, so it was harder, a little bit harder to tap into understanding that back then. But now that I've been able to, coach, see things from a different perspective, step back and realize that like you're a part of something bigger than just you. And then when you realize that, it's like, okay, I understand. Like, I don't have to have worry. I don't have to have fear. Like, he got my steps ordered. I just got to do my part, which is keep moving forward and keep controlling what I can control.
Keep moving forward and control what you control. I always, not always, I did this for you. I went on your Twitter and looked at some of your retweets, and I'm going to read one that kind of says and kind of ties to that. You said, today I'm choosing joy. The things aren't always aligned, but you know that God, let me start again because Norense, I keep this in. I'm going to keep it in. Today I'm choosing joy. Things aren't always aligned, but you know that God the God that I serve is working on my behalf. That is enough and encourages me to keep going. And it just encourages me to hear your story and where you've been and who you've become and all these things that you face, and you're still joy and you're still wanting to pour back and contribute to other people. Honestly, it's huge. And I'm so glad to showcase this conversation and showcase your life, because I truly believe you're a leader and a person that has a message to pour out to somebody else. Because it's like, I think about this daily. How do we, have these conversations in those circumstances at a team level, like not just surface level? So, because playing in the G League this year, it's like when you have those, it takes a lot of work to get to actual conversations. How do we, show this love and contribute with each other off the court, and for you to basically showcase your whole life and open yourself up and say, okay, this is what I do. This is what I dealt with. This is what I even thought. I think that's true confidence in who you are and confidence in your faith. Faith is a confident expectation that I don't care if I didn't know. I don't care if I don't know now, that I will grow because of the Lord that I serve and what's pushing me through. So bro, thank you so much for your story. I always say this question, obviously, Mind Bully Podcast. When you're in those times, all this adversity you face, the adversity today, because you're learning a lot, you're becoming a different person, having to show up for your daughter, your players, everything, overcoming that negative voice that says you can't, you won't ever become this new person, this next version, beating the hell out of your mind bully. What are the practical steps that you work and that you do to overcome your negative voice?
Well, first off, for anybody listening, if you do have a negative voice, it's totally normal. All of us have it. I believe that. Even the greatest, I think, you always have this negative voice in your head trying to tell you that you're not good enough, or you can't do it, or what if you get in the situation and mess it up, or whatever the case may be. And when I get into those times myself, first thing I do is pray. First thing I do, because that helps me, helps my heart, helps my mind, helps everything settle down. I take some deep breaths and I just start reeling off things in my mind that I'm thankful for. I start reeling off things in my mind where I can remember that I got through, like things in the past, which I've now shared with you, things in the past that I can recall, like, wow, I thought I would never get through that. I thought that was the end of me. I thought I was done, and I got through it. And now that it's in the past. So if I had to give one practical thing, that's what you asked. If I had to give one thing, I would say, understand that time heals all wounds. And with time, things pass. So don't get too caught up in something good happening or something bad happening. Just stay even keeled. Know that life is mountains and valleys. And that negative voice in your head, you can combat it, because it's just lies. It's all lies being fed to you by your mind. It's not real.
Just lies. It's not real. I think I've agreed to a lot of the things you said to this point. I'll have to big time disagree. Time doesn't heal all wounds, in my opinion. God does. And God has healed and made you who you are, the faith, the strength of who you've become. And then when people think, they're like, oh, that doesn't make sense how he can do this. That doesn't make sense how he's able. Yeah, when it doesn't make sense, it makes faith. Faith and sense are totally different. So it doesn't matter how I feel right now when I pray. I don't feel like anything's changed, but it's the faith that got you through. It's the faith that pushed you through and pushed you to where you are now. So, bro, thank you so much for being on the Mind Bully Podcast, bro.
Love, bro. Love. I appreciate you, I appreciate you, bro.
Yes, sir.
Genix, you going off.